Welcome to the channel. Hey, in today's video we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to take a yellowed out nasty looking headlight and I'm going to compound and polish it so that we end up with a nice bright headlamp. Now there's a ton of videos on the internet on how to do this. Some of you may not have the tools that I'm going to show you here in a second, but you can get the same results by hand. It's just going to take quite a bit longer. What my process I use is, first thing, I'll clean the headlamp with just glass cleaner and a towel, get all of the nasty stuff off of it. Once I have it clean, I'll really look at it and see how bad the chips are, how far they go down, and where the headlamp beam shines. Once I kind of analyze what the headlamp looks like, I'll move over and grab a dual action sander, and I'm using 800 grit on these lights, and I'm using actually the glass cleaner as a lubricant just to keep everything clean and not clog up my sandpaper. Once we have it finished out with 800, you're going to want to really look at it. It's going to get all nice and dull. These headlamps have a hard coating on them that you are going to have to sand off to be able to get rid of that yellow and everything else. So once we get our surface looking nice with 800, we'll move up to a 1500 grit. I've got a couple of different styles here. All of this is Velcro type sandpaper. So I have a DA for stick it sandpaper. I have a DA for Velcro sandpaper. At home, you may have to change pads. You may be doing this with a drill. If you do it with a drill, just be super careful because a drill kind of works like a grinder. So slow speed, take your time. You could do it with 400 grit wet sandpaper and then move up to 600. Here we're going from 800 to 1500. Brush it lightly with 3000. Clean it again with glass cleaner. Then we go to a rotary buffer. And I just have a cheap compounding pad on there, and I just have this small bottle of some kind of, it says one step polish on it. It seems like it cut all the scratches out and everything looks good on this headlight, so I'm going to say it works. I would not use like super heavy compound with a lot of grit in it. I see a few videos out there where people are using toothpaste. Yeah, it'll get rid of the yellow, but it's not going to leave you with as clear a finish when you're all done. So hey, let's get into the middle of this project. So you can see in that last little clip, after I cleaned it, I mean, there's quite a bit of stuff come off this headlight. It's important to get it clean before you start sanding, because all that stuff that's on there is just going to clog the sandpaper up even worse. So let's get on with the sand. This is what you get after 800 grit. I don't know how well it shows up on camera. That hard coating that I was talking about, it's still there on the bottom of this light. I can kind of see a little bit of yellow here, so I'm going to take my 800 and I'm going to sand down further. this side of it cleaned up pretty good. There you can really see the line of that hard coating where we're sanding that off. Yeah, you just have to keep working at this until you get it to the level you want. But 800 grit is where to do all the work. Once we move up to 1500, all we're doing is refining scratches and making it easier to buff. So we do our work with our coarser grit. So after the 1500 grit, you should start to see kind of what the finished product's going to look like after you're done buffing. You can tell you're starting to get some clarity back into the lenses. If you have any really dull looking spots at this point, you should go back and do more sanding. It's easier to sand it than it is to have to spend all the time buffing the scratches out. So now I have my compound applied, I have my cutting pad on my buffer, and the RPM I've got it set around 1800. And this is where having a second set of hands will probably help you out a lot. I'm going to do this, and I've done it a long time, so don't try this at home. All right, well, after the first sanding, we missed all this lower part down here, and the other headlamp looks, I think it looks better than this one. So I'll go back and sand this and finish this headlight up so that it matches this headlight. Guys, there we go. I've got it. I did go back and sand the whole thing again to get it more clear than what it was in the beginning. The reason why we did that is these were yellow. They came from a salvage to replace, like you can see the crack there, all the mounting tabs were broken off of this one. So we're helping a friend out. They had a little wreck and we're trying to get their vehicle fixed up and back on the road for them. I thought I'd make a video of doing these headlights because, hey, everybody's headlights have turned yellow in the past 10 years. All right, so if you enjoy my video, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate the new subscribers that I have. My content, it's not always gonna be just old cars or that type of stuff. We're gonna jump out and do a few little tech tip kind of things, and this was a necessary deal right here. So catch you on the next one.